or not, here we go. And I will say that that was quite the rush. So that is an accurate statement, ready or not. Because I just basically got home, wolfed down some fish, some raw fish. And I think my fan's on high. 1 second. 1 second. Now, fair warning, I think our neighbors might be firing off some fireworks, so we could possibly hear some dog barking. But that is to be expected with fireworks in the neighborhood because they don't particularly appreciate the fireworks. There's a few of them that are really, really crazy about it. We got some stuff for them for tomorrow to in case there's a big bash, which there will be tomorrow. There will be a bunch of fireworks tomorrow. Let's go ahead and bring up the Finney camera. Da-da. There's Mr. Finney. And let's go ahead and bring up the screen camera. And okay. And there we go. All right. Yeah, my camera was all askew. View askew. If you know you know when I say view askew. If you know, you know. That was Kevin Smith's company. View Askew Productions. So, all right, and I didn't check that we were live. I guess I better check to make sure that my microphone is working, because I am the the talent, the producer, the whole thing. Oh, there we go. Yes, we are working. Oh my gosh, look at that hair. My friend today is telling me how wonderful my hair color was. And I'm like, really? I'm glad that you appreciate my hair color. No, I'm glad to still have some hair. I'll put it that way. Which I don't know. I've been letting it grow out a little bit. Trying to decide what I'm going to do with it. Whether I'm going to get it cut short again or let it grow out a little bit, even though, there's some spots that if you let it grow out a little bit, that covers them up a little bit. But anyway, all right. So what is going on in the world today? I know in my opening, I said we were going to do that video, and we'll get into that here in a bit, that video. And I wanted to just shout out real quick. There's a channel on YouTube, and it's called Agenda Free TV. And Agenda Free TV is a website or a YouTube channel from a guy named Steve Lookner. And he's all about just the news. I mean, he is a news junkie. That's what he does, is news. And he just delivers stories. And I mean, you see, he streams for freaking 8 hours at a time. He'll get on there and cover a story like the hurricane. I mean, and this is what to be fair, this is what he does, right? He's a successful streamer. As you can see, he's got 426,000 subscribers. His streams will get He's got 76,000 views on the hurricane one, 29 on this hurricane one, 46. So I mean, he's got some cool stuff. But I know tonight this is a legitimate news story that the whole thing with Biden and how he performed in the debates, and you can't deny that this is a legitimate story. And then when you have the White House press secretary come out and say, "Oh, well, it was a cold. He had a cold and he was tired from traveling, and that's why he had that bad performance." I mean, but okay, yes, you can have a bad performance occasionally, but what we saw the other night was I mean, there's no two ways about it. That is a legitimate story to cover. The and whatever you think of the other guy, the other side, that is not the important thing. The story is how much is Biden in control of the government right now. We talked about it last night. We talked about Mr. Hunter being now in the room during briefings and meetings with staff and everything, and how we didn't elect anybody but our current president. But then I noticed he kept taking a lot of of crap from commenters, and it seemed to be coming both ways. Like, oh, is this a conservative channel? You can't, how come you're doing this conservative stuff? And then, how come you're talking about Biden? And, you should be talking about how Trump is a felon. And it's like, but that's not the story. The story isn't about Trump right now. It's about that performance. And prominent members of the Democrat Party voicing their concern and their opinion that perhaps he should step aside. He should step down. They should look at replacing him. So I just think it's weird that you can't even cover this story without and those that were doing that are they're not really the extreme on both sides, but they're dead set in their ways, right? But I think there's a whole lot of us that are just sick of the whole damn thing and sick of all these damn people, because as I will keep saying and have been saying, none of them are looking out for you. Nobody is looking out. There's no one person that's going to magically come along and fix what we got going on. It's fundamentally, there is I should probably set this up. So, fundamentally, we need some help. We need government. We need the three branches of government working together and not just trying to get reelected and trying to figure out, trying to say that this person is the worst person ever and this person is the worst person ever and this side is the worst side and this side is going to get us, I mean, some of the rhetoric that is out there right now is just, it's beyond insane. Nobody is going to round you up. Nobody's getting rounded up and put into camps. It's just not going to happen, no matter who wins, no matter who elects. The thing that I've learned is what's really fundamental is who's ever president of the United States doesn't really affect your life that much. It doesn't. I mean, I've just continued on through life doing what I do, and it goes along pretty good. So yeah, that's so check it out. Check out if you haven't seen it. And I mean, people will seem to be checking out this channel more and more, and I really appreciate that. Please like and subscribe if you're checking it out, either live or later. I've noticed that the stream we did last night's got got pretty good views on it after the fact. So I'm really excited about that. Really excited about some of the stuff that we're doing and getting it in front of more eyeballs. So, the point is to have a good time. That's our first and foremost thing. But yeah, agenda free TV. If you He only comes on when there's breaking news. He's got a channel like that, it's the personal channel that he does stuff on. But if there's a big story like the hurricane, the governor's calling for Biden to step out, as you see, he did 3 hours there, he did 8 hours. So today he is streamed for uh 11 hours. 11 hours this man has streamed today. So, and he's hilarious because he gets so excited when he's covering something and then there's like breaking news story. It's so fun to watch him. He's just like, breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. He gets all excited. I think he's even got for members of his chat, he's got a breaking news emoji that they can pop out because he's so funny. It's so awesome. Okay, so all right, now let's get into the torture. Sorry. Meetings will continue until morale improves, improves. So I'm thinking Melanie for the closing statements. What we're going to do is I need to figure out where to start looking for debunking on Lally's closing arguments. Oh, I totally forgot to. Happy 4th of July Eve, everybody. Happy 4th of July Eve. Tomorrow, Independence Day, very big this day in our country. And I hope eventually everybody can enjoy it again. That would be my goal, is to have everybody enjoy Independence Day again, because we've really got a lot to look forward to. We've really got a lot going for us, and we've got a lot that we should be able to come together on. And we got a government that's set up right now in action. It might not be working correctly. There might be needing some fixes, just on how things are operating. But the blueprint, right? The foundation of what we have is extraordinary, and we should celebrate that, because the framers of our initial Constitution were brilliant thinkers, right? They saw the different systems. They saw the monarchy system and the parliamentary system, and they crafted this republic just, I mean, brilliantly. They really did. And people that say, oh, we shouldn't have an electoral college and we should have senators based on population, there's a reason they didn't do that. There's a reason we set it up the way we set it up. And it's because we are a conglomeration of states, right? We are the United States. And so each state needs to be able, one, to maintain its autonomy. I was going to say mononymy, but that just didn't sound right at all. Autonomy. And so states maintain their autonomy, and two, that there is a way for each state to have a say in things, or have at least somewhat of a say in how things go. Especially, so the Senate, I mean, everything's just set up. It really is. All right, so let's go ahead. Closing arguments. I'm hoping Mel. I gotta just. throw my earpiece in just to make sure that you guys can hear this and it's not overpowering. Oh, that's usually overpowering.
And he said when he was coming here, he went to medical school, and then
all right,
as part of his training and part of his quest for citizenship, let's say, he was required to work for a year in family medicine to get his citizenship.
Okay.
Because they require any international doctors who are looking for citizenship to do at least 1 year.
I'm really conscientious about sound. I don't want
specialty that they are short-staffed in. And so his was in family medicine. Thank you for watching from Ireland.
I think I need.
Kirsten, thanks for the super chat. Prediction not guilty. Verdict.
I need my notebook. I'm going to get my notebook. So
he pulls two pieces out.
Let's go ahead.
That's okay. Put the two red pieces together.
Put it here at the end
Illustrate the quality and character of his
Jackson's closing. I'm going to go get my notebook and a pen, and then we'll get started. I'll be right back.
An objective investigator, someone who's supposed to be looking for facts. Ask yourself, how did he approach his job? Late at night, sitting there in his office, deviously looking for naked pictures of Karen Reed and talking about her like she's a piece of meat. Talking about her bodily functions, her medical conditions, calling her vile names. I don't even have it in me to repeat what he said about her. He reduced her to an object, and he went further by insulting her. He went further than insulting her, and he dehumanized her. And when he was done betraying that very humanity, he wished for her to commit suicide. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how you frame someone. That's how you dehumanize someone so viciously that you can just pin it on the girl and cover for the homeowner because he's a Boston cop.
Well,
that's how you rip a person's life apart.
If we were monetized, we wouldn't be now.
And then further that
would be demonetization right there with that S word.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just began the discussion
picked up by the algorithm. All right.
With a quote about the truth, and I did that because that's what this case is about.
So now let's move on to
Mr. hiding it, concealing it, but
I don't want to do this. I really don't. I know the first thing is the four times.
Just take a moment before we have to suffer through an hour of droning.
Yeah, I know.
Alan Jackson just gave us a masterclass in closing argument.
I'm hoping Mel will point out some of the things too. And if there's anybody in the chat, I'll remember this. I'll announce this a couple times as people come and go. If you remember anything from his closing arguments that stood out to you as just a blatant lie, let me know, because I want to get that. I want to get that down so we can. So this is out and out lies that we could go back to testimony and show that this was not in evidence. What he says is not in evidence. And the first thing is the 4 times I hit him. Nobody said that she said that 4 times.
It's my friend, and you have seen it live. He started out.
So I'm going to actually set this up to
his whole argument.
Let's go 1.5
by saying, look the other way. And he went on for the first portion of his closing argument about how the Commonwealth wanted you to look away, wanted the jury to look away, wanted everyone to look away. And he delineated all of that. I have to get out now because I'm sure he practiced to disagree with the timing and Karen Reed and how Proctor dehumanized Karen Reed through Lally for look at Brian L. And here we go. Hand corner of your screen. Probably regretting the decision that he made to come.
I hit him.
Okay, so right there off the bat, we're at 233.02 in her. 233.02. 4 times I hit him. Right. Lally lies. Lally lies. Lally's load of lies.
Those are the words of the defendant. 4 times. You heard testimony from.
Oh my God, he even said 4 times. What?
4 different witnesses.
Is that? I didn't think he said. Oh my God.
I hit it. Those are the words of the defendant. 4 times. You heard testimony.
Nobody testified that he said that 4 times. Oh my God. Lally actually said She said it 4 times. Oh my God.
From 4 different witnesses who overheard and observed those statements from the defendant on January 29th, 2022. You heard testimony from firefighter Timothy Nuttall. He was trying to bag.
Okay, so Nuttall. All right, now I'm gonna have to. I think we'll, because I saw a video on X today that showed, especially this that really went over this I hit him thing, and I'm pretty sure they got a lot of them to clarify on cross that they didn't actually hear that. So, all right, now I'm gonna have to. I didn't want to. Okay, all right. I think we'll just take notes. I don't want to get sidetracked. I want to put anything that's, sorry, I'm doing this on the fly, but I want to put anything in here. And if you're watching this later, right? Let's say you're watching this later and you think of something, put it in a comment, right? Put it in a comment and I'll take a look at it. But I think right now I'm just going to go through the thing. I'm going to take some notes. I think Timothy Nuttall.
Valve mask Mr. O'Keefe. He's working on resuscitative efforts to try to save Mr. O'Keefe's life. He asked if anyone saw anything or knew what happened. And the defendant said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Firefighter Anthony Flamati was asking if anyone had information on why Mr. O'Keefe was there in the snow.
And then
the defendant repeatedly said, I hit him, I hit him.
I think Flamati, I mean, this, oh man, and now this, what is going on here? Flamati. And of course my pen's not going to want to work. I mean, it's a really good pen. I've had it for a long time. It's from a it's from a wire and cable company. Like that really matters. It doesn't. So Flamati. I'm pretty sure Flamati.
Oh my God, I hit him. Firefighter Katie McLaughlin was tasked by firefighter Flamati with asking to provide rapid information and for what the cause was of the traumatic injuries that all the firefighters testified that they observed on Mr. O'Keefe. She asked the defendant, and the defendant said, I hit him repeatedly. That
video today even showed when Jackson was cross-examining her how her testimony had evolved. Your testimony has evolved over time, hasn't it? Yes. Yes, it has. Not one time in any report does it say this.
Firefighter McLaughlin asked for clarification. You did what? And the defendant repeated, I hit him. Jennifer McCabe stated initially over the phone when speaking with the defendant that the defendant said, could I have hit him in the car while they're on the phone with Ms. Roberts going from Ms. McCabe's house to Mr. O'Keefe's house? Did I hit him? Could I have hit him? Once on scene, once asked, as Ms. McCabe described by an EMT, for name, age, things like that related to Mr. O'Keefe, what caused the trauma? She indicated in her testimony that the defendant said repeatedly, I hit him. You heard testimony from Officer Sarah, statements that he attributed to the defendant as saying that morning.
What?
This is all my fault. This is all my fault. I did this.
What? Seraph? No. Seraph said, I saw the thing today. Seraph said, that's what? Oh my gosh. So that was probably fireworks. So, all right, you guys are all right. Everything's cool. If they come back in shaking, I'll know. We'll see. It could be an interesting evening. All right, so Seraph officer. So what did he say about Seraph?
O'Keefe. What caused the trauma?
So, wait, what? What the hell was that?
Hit him.
Now I'm looking at the closed captions.
Once on scene, once asked, as Ms. McCabe described by an EMT, for name, age, things like that related to Mr. O'Keefe, what caused the trauma?
Trauma. What?
For name, age, things like that related to Mr. O'Keefe.
Age, things like that related to Mr. Keefe was the Trump. That's what I saw was the Trump. And I'm like, what's the Trump? The hell's Trump got to do with it? So no, that was the trauma. He speaks so weird that in this closed captioning just has no idea what this weirdo is saying.
What caused the trauma?
All right,
He indicated
so
in her testimony that the
Officer
defendant said repeatedly,
Seraph,
I hit him.
you're a liar.
You heard testimony from Officer Seraph, statements that he attributed to the defendant as saying that morning, this is all my fault. This is
Seraph, this is all my fault. All right. I think that's probably provable that it's not what Seraph said. So that's 235.06. And we're only like 30 seconds into this damn
all my
thing.
fault. I did this.
It's all like this.
It's not in the reports. You know it, and I know it.
Since then, stories changed a little bit. But those were the words that came from the defendant's mouth on January 29, 2022, as John O'Keefe lay dying on the front lawn of 34 Fairview Road, where the defendant had left him after striking him with her motor vehicle several hours before, and then left him freezing there in a blizzard. There's certain things that have come up over the course of this trial as far as evidence and testimony are concerned, little things. And what I would suggest to you, it's those little things that are quite telling as it pertains to the defendant's statements and the defendant's actions over the course of January 28th and January 29th and beyond. I'm going to bring some of those to your attention as I go through, but just ask you to keep that in mind as far as when you're deliberating, when you're reviewing this testimony and this evidence.
Keep that in mind, the little things.
The little things matter.
Lally, you are a little thing. What happened? I lost myself. Oh, I muted it. I must have hit the M button. All right.
I'm going to bring some of those to your attention as I go through, but just ask you to keep that in mind as far as
The
when you're
little
deliberating, when you're
things.
reviewing this testimony.
You're a little
The little
thing.
things
You're a
matter.
little
The little things
brain.
are piling up in this case.
To infinity and beyond.
Throughout the course of this trial, you've heard a lot of purported evidence or questions of witnesses in an attempt to distract you from the evidence in this case. It's essentially defense by obfuscation.
Wait. I was working when this was on and I didn't pay attention to it. And I'm going to try not to like critique everything. The defense did distracting. Are you freaking kidding me? How many witnesses do we have to ask about the snow and the seating arrangements and where they sat at the basketball game? Come on.
It's a 3-card monitor. Facts on the evidence in this case are your card, they're the queen of hearts. And so what I want you to, or what the defense wants you to do is not look at that card. Look at anything else. Look at movement, look at this person, look at that person, look at text messages,
look the other way.
Don't pay attention to the facts and the evidence, because if you do, what it will ineluctably lead you to is that the defendant is guilty of each of the 3 indictments before this court. The evidence and the facts of this case are for you, the jury, to decide. Using your common sense, using your life experience.
Using your common sense and your life experience to say that she hit him with a car. Oh my God. And the screwed up thing is this convinced some people. This was actually convincing to a few of these people. We don't know how many, but this was convincing. Take that for what it is. Stay the hell away from Massachusetts. That place is evil.
Through that.
I made a post that was a joke, and I said, calling on little water boy, where I said that Massachusetts is the devil. That place is the devil. I think it might be. I think Massachusetts might be the devil.
As you go. Before I turn to that evidence that I will submit to you and electably demonstrates the defendant's guilt, let me first just address Trooper Proctor. The text messages from Trooper Proctor are unprofessional, they're indefensible, they're inexcusable. However, as distasteful as those messages are, and their content is, I submit they had no bearing whatsoever or impact whatsoever on the integrity of the entirety of the investigation that Massachusetts State Police collectively.
You know, unfortunately, there's not much. Well, I mean, there's nothing you can directly point to in the evidence to say that this is a lie. It's a lie. It's 100% a lie. They had to build their case around their premise, not figure out who was guilty by investigating the things. They had a premise and they had to make the evidence fit their premise. So Fortunately, there's no
collectively
direct testimony that can
conduct
put out
into John O'Keefe's death.
unless you guys think of something. Maybe
Collectively,
somebody will
trying to
think of
distance Proctor
something.
from the investigation, trying to make excuses for Proctor. I don't think it's going to work.
As was asked,
Oh, it seemed to work
Proctor
on some of them.
cross-examination. These were texts from his personal phone that he never thought would see the light of day. He was asked whether or not he ever thought that he would be asked about these in a courtroom.
I have never, ever in my life texted something like this about anybody. Never. I've never had a conversation. I've had lots of text conversations, and I probably had conversations where I talked about people that I didn't like or whatever, but I have never had a conversation like this over text message. Just saying, never. I haven't.
Put to him in sort of a safe space, a safe place for him to discuss.
He actually used the I had heard that he'd used it. I didn't hear it directly myself. He actually used the term safe space to talk about a trooper, a Massachusetts state trooper needs his private phone safe space to say horrendous things about somebody he's investigating. Oh my God. It's just more evidence that there's something wrong in Massachusetts. I'm just saying. Oh, I think I just went full screen.
What do you not see in those text messages?
Do that.
You don't see any discussion or any illusion of any conspiracy, of any framing of the defendant, of any planting of any evidence. No evidence whatsoever.
Because maybe that was the stuff they were smart enough not to put on text message, Lally. I don't know. Is that a possibility? Just saying.
Why?
Maybe.
Because it didn't happen. There
Okay.
is no conspiracy. There is no cover-up. There is no evidence of any of that beyond speculation, rampant speculation and conjecture on behalf of the defense.
Except for everything that Alan Jackson just said in his 1 hour closing argument. Except for all of that.
Two things can be true at the same time. They're mutually exclusive. The texts from Trooper Proctor are distasteful, they're disrespectful, they're unprofessional. There's no defense to them.
You said that already.
And the defendant killed John O'Keefe.
No,
According to the evidence,
because the car didn't kill John O'Keefe. So if the car didn't kill John O'Keefe, or even
All right. I do want to do one thing, which is we don't really need the comments, but I would like the transcript. If I can figure out how to get to the transcript. There we go. I do want this up. Okay.
strike John O'Keefe, then neither did the defendant.
let me first talk a little bit about John O'Keefe.
All right, let's find out. Where are we at? 239.26. $9.26. Okay.
You heard a lot about him over the course of this trial, about his selfless story to his family and friends that loved him, including his adopted niece and nephew. You heard a lot about the lives he touched and the different people who he had friendships with. You heard a lot about from
Clothing,
All right,
closing.
we go through this here.
No, got up and left the room. I hope everyone coughs during Lally's open. Watch the clock. Got up and left the room. Just like everyone, he coughed during so many pertinent portions of the defense's case in chief. Watch the clock.
9:49 in the morning, Karen and John begin fighting over text messages. 2:25 p.m. in the afternoon, the defendant texts Mr. O'Keefe, "Tell me if you are interested in someone else. Can't think of any other reason you've been like this." John texts back, "Nope." 2:25, Mr. O'Keefe texts the defendant, "Thank you, Mr. O'Keefe," from other friends or family members as to the relationship in the months and weeks leading up to John's murder. 2:32 p.m., John texts the defendant, "Sick of always arguing and fighting. It's been weekly for several months now," continuing to needle and try to engage. Around 3 p.m. is the testimony you heard from Erin O'Keefe in regard to the defendant texting her, asking if
Oh, that's interesting. Now he's shaming. Hold on a second. Now he's shaming her for wanting to have a drink at 2:28 in the afternoon. Okay. Mr. Lally, if this one day's worth of text messages from two people who didn't even curse at each other at all during the day is motive for murder, then we're all going to jail.
Mm.
This is a reach. Wow. There's not even one curse word in all of these messages. Some difficulty getting along. I don't see it as a motive for murder.
3 o'clock in the afternoon. This is also the point in which the defendant says to Ms. O'Keefe, "Wish I didn't speak to another O'Keefe after 2004. 7:30 p.m., you have Mr. O'Keefe and Mr. Camerano arriving at C.F. McCarthy's with the defendant arriving at 8:51. 8:58 p.m. is when the defendant receives drink number 1. 10:22 p.m., drink number 6. 10:29 p.m., drink number 7. 7 drinks from 8:58 p.m. through 10:29 p.m. at C.F. McCarthy.
You've never proven what's in the glass, dude. You've proved it was a clear liquid. You've got one receipt with 2 Tito's and a beer on.
Yeah, I think this is part of it. That whole testimony of Buki Buckhead was crap. That was horrible. Oh yeah, look, no, she's got it just shot there and she dumped it in there. Well, you couldn't see that. That video wasn't that clear. You don't know what was in those shots. And if they only charged her for a couple of Tito's, then you can't prove what was in those shots. That's not proof. That should not have been let in as evidence. I don't know if I'm not a lawyer, not a lawyer at all, but I'm pretty sure that you're not supposed to let somebody sit there and narrate a video and tell you what they are seeing. If there is a video playing, it should be that you let the jury look and see what's going on. No, they said, oh no, now she got another shot from the bartender and she dumped that into her round cylindrical glass. No bullcrap. Absolute bullcrap. That you cannot sit there and narrate a video. So this is going to be a portion that we're going to debunk. And I know that multiple folks said the same thing, caught on that. So we'll be able to get some good stuff off of this one. Okay, so 244.38 drinks in the glass. It's funny. The GL didn't write, so I just wrote ASS. Yeah, not working. Okay, so drinks in the glass. Debunk that. I'm pretty sure Emily said stuff. I'm pretty sure Mel said stuff. I'm pretty sure that Runkle said stuff. So we'll get at least the three.
You've never proven what was in the glass. Am I in the Twilight Zone again?
Keeping understanding that some of these drinks are not the full tall cylinder drinks. What she's doing is she's getting shot glasses of vodka and then pouring them into the drink after she's consumed the drink.
You can't prove that. That's not
defendant and Mr. O'Keefe arrive at the waterfall during the course
There's
of
no proof.
An hour that they're there, the defendant receives drinks number 8 and drinks number 9. 12:10 a.m. from the waterfall video, you have Ms. McCabe, Ms. Kolakithis, and the defendant departing the waterfall together. Interestingly, around the same time, you also have the text and screenshot communications between Colin Albert and Allison McCabe in reference to him getting picked up at that time. You also have testimony from Brian.
AJ couldn't hit all the points, so I'm going to hit some of the points for you. Yeah, you saw Jen McCabe walking out of the bar with Karen Reed because Jen McCabe said to her, "You're coming with me. I have a surprise for you. You're coming with me." And then Jen McCabe was shocked or horrored or something like that to see her actually going with John O'Keefe into the car because she thought she was going to take her somewhere for a surprise. And then you've got the testimony from Colin Albert and Allie McCabe with these screenshots that may or may not have been doctored of text messages that they may or may not have sent about what time Allie McCabe was going to pick Colin Albert up at allegedly 34 Fairview, but maybe she was picking him up somewhere else because the Life 360 data doesn't really jive. So we're going to talk.
Sort of walking in from the waterfall as Colin Albert is walking out of 34 Fairview Road, gets picked up by Ms. McCabe, and then is driven home. At 12:14 a.m., Mr. O'Keefe texts Ms. McCabe, "Where to?" 12:14 a.m., based on the fact that she's driving, and Mme. McCabe indicated in his testimony that she's...
This guy puts me to sleep. I mean, it might be the sushi I ate right before I got on here, too. But, moo. All right. Stay awake.
Texting while driving. Ms. McCabe calls
this guy, man.
John O'Keefe. Speaks with him regarding directions.
Wait, so now you're even gonna defend Jen McCabe about texting and driving? That's why she called him, because she didn't want to text and drive. Wow. Wow. Okay. All right. Yeah. Keep defending her because she's in the courtroom watching you.
Yeah. I mean, he never did explain all the butt dials. 18 calls over 9 calls over 18 minutes or something stupid that are all butt dials. Shut up.
Sort of going over
That just
which way to
doesn't
come in Chapman
happen.
Street over Cedar Crest as far as coming into Fairview Road. From Lieutenant Tully in regard to the CSLI data. The defendant drives by the Temple Beth Abraham video. Again, you can see that on the video. Remember also the testimony from Lieutenant Tully in regard to the CSLI data and the ranging data in reference to coinciding with what you observed the black SUV from each of those respective videos.
All right.
12:19:32. Mr. O'Keefe enters 34 Fairview Road into his Waze app on his phone. 12:23 a.m. is when the defendant conducts a 3-point turn on Cedar Crest and travels back toward Fairview. That's from Mr. O'Keefe's GPS native location data from his phone.
I don't know that that's true. I don't know that that's true. I thought it was from his Waze data, which is not native GPS data to Apple. Waze is not the native GPS data. That's a little fishy. That is a little fishy. All right, I'm going to write this down. 248.40. Like I said, if you're watching this later or you get to a point, if you remember a blatant lie that is debunkable with testimony, then put a comment. Let me know and I'll go look it up because this is the Lally be lying video. We're going to debunk all these lies. Okay, this is Mel Little. So yeah, I want to do a debunking video where we can take what he says in closing, go back and get actual testimony from the trial and say, nope, you were lying.
23 and 1224 is when you have that testimony from Ryan Nagel, Heather Maxson, and Ricky Cantono, pulling into Fairview Road around the same time and pulling in behind the dark SUV.
Where was the
5 a.m. is the last native location GPS data of John O'Keefe's phone. It's in that area between 32, 34 Fairview Road, where his body is discovered the next morning, in which there is no movement of that phone from that 12:25 a.m. period until Miss Roberts then picks up the phone on the grass underneath Mr. O'Keefe's body sometime after 6 a.m.
We heard that for the first time during this trial too. Was that Carrie Roberts was the one who found John O'Keefe's phone underneath his body?
I thought there was movement. I thought there were stairs at 12:36. All right, now. All right. All right. 249.32. Let me go back a little bit.
Of that phone from that 12:25 a.m. period until Miss Roberts then picks up the phone on the grass underneath Mr.
I thought the defense testimony was that there was movement after that because the Waze thing they're using was off by a time. So there was actually movement at 12:36. Okay. I think we can debunk that too. No movement after 12:25. Defense expert. .36 stairs. Yeah, I think I do remember that there was supposedly movement after
sometime after 6 a.m.
We heard that for the first time during this trial too. Was that Carrie Roberts was the one who found John O'Keefe's phone underneath his body?
Right now is that data, those plotting points that Trooper Garino was testifying about as far as the movement of the vehicle. Movement of the vehicle as it comes down Cedar Crest, passes by Fairview, reverses direction, and then comes down Fairview, moving up as witnesses described, eventually stopping in that area of the property line between 32 and 34 Fairview Road, which happens to coincide with the vehicle control history database information from the Toyota text stream, which you now have up on the screen for you here, indicating that following that 3-point turn, approximately 8 minutes after that, from Trooper Paul's testimony, as far as the mileage, 36 to 38 miles, matching.
Yeah, here's the thing, dude. All of this alleged evidence from the Lexus does not have any date or time or GPS location on it. It just has the mileage of the car. So yeah, means really nothing to me.
Up at the time that the vehicle is in front of 34
8 minutes later. Where did they even get that?
In a straight line with 24.2 miles per hour for 62.5 feet with a minor steering angle change, which the trooper indicated was consistent with a pedestrian collision. At 12:30 a.m., you have that second triggering event 8 minutes after the 3-point turn when the vehicle is in reverse at 24.2 miles an hour. 12:35 is when the defendant calls John, and that's unanswered. 12:36 is around the time that the defendant's phone connects to the Wi-Fi at 1 Meadows Avenue, Stroke home. 12:30.
Okay, so now he's changing the time of the accident.
Oh yeah, no, that dude. Okay, first off, it didn't come out of the Boston Globe. It come out of a dude who used to work for the Boston Globe, and where he got it from was the dude named Grant, who's a complete moron, who copied it from a comment on X that had nothing to do with this case. So, you know what? I like this function. Yeah, anyway. That's not what happened. It wasn't 10 for 2 to guilty. If you believe that, you must be from Massachusetts, right? Are you from Massachusetts?
Incident to 12:30. In his opening, he said it was 12:40.
Dude, don't believe anything that you read, right? I don't know. There's stuff that's come out that said it was 6 to 6, that they put it off of on, that they had bumped it down, and they completely disregarded the second degree murder, and they got hung up on the lesser included. Until I hear that from an actual source that was in the room, I'm not going to believe that. But the 10 to 2 for guilty thing, dude, look at the sources on that, and don't.
Yeah. Because now,
I mean, you can believe that if you want.
And now he's saying it's 12:30 because his own opening
really
statement
silly if
was not even accurate.
I'm just going to tell you that.
My friends, they're trying to swindle the jury again. And now the accident's at 12:30 because his own data didn't line up with his own data. Because now he realizes that Karen's phone connects to the Wi-Fi at One Meadows at 12:36. She has to be home by 12:36. Therefore, he's got to switch his time to 12:30. And you may recall
that's funny.
That after 12:30,
that is hilarious.
Jen McCabe kept texting, John, you here? Pull up behind me. Where are you? After 12:30. And Jen's looking out the window the whole time, and so is Matt. Why didn't they see this collision occurring? Why didn't they see Officer O'Keefe's dead body on the lawn? This is the kiss of death for the Commonwealth, in my opinion. They've just screwed everything up. Good luck.
7 is when the defendant leaves this voicemail.
Math ain't mathin'. Yeah, play the voicemail. Yeah, play the voicemail.
That vehicle's data.
Jury's going to remember.
4.2 miles an hour in reverse for 62 and a half feet. The defendant leaves that voicemail, seething in rage as she's screaming, John, because she had seen the defendant's vehicle in front of the house and no one had come in. So she was wondering where her friend, Mr. O'Keefe, was. 12:55. The defendant texts John, see you later. 12:59. The defendant calls, leaves another voicemail for Mr. O'Keefe. Exhibit 637.
Good Paul O'Keefe's face. Good freeze frame. Tracks for something that she did, like murder him, like you're trying to prove to the jury. Why wouldn't she say, hey, make it make sense?
All right.
Oh, that's right. You can't.
109A. The defendant texts John, I'm back in Mansfield. The kids are home alone. She's not. GPS, as far as it never disconnects from the Wi-Fi until the following morning.
Trying to get his attention.
Ms. Reed left and went to her home. 1:18 a.m., the defendant leaves another voicemail. Now, about 1:43 or 1:45 a.m. is when Julie Nagel testified that they were leaving the house. And she sees a large black object.
She doesn't.
Oh, yeah, that was totally credible.
She doesn't.
Near the flagpole while leaving.
She sees a blob. And the first time she ever said that was on the stand, that it was 5 to 6 feet in length.
When Julie Nagel testified that they were leaving the house. And she sees a large black object.
A little bit.
Mr. O'Keefe wearing body to be out on the front lawn.
Right. She was just distracting. She was distracting the two girls in the back seat.
Hang on. Now I gotta show you. Here's. Oh. Sorry, give me just 1 second. Looking something up for you. If I can find what I'm looking for here. Yeah, there you go. Here's your source. Here's your 10 to 2 source right there.
We had them all.
That's your 10 to 2 source.
I was the model. I try to work myself. Really? For my dad, yeah. We had them all.
Totally credible. 100%. That's somebody that's 100%.
For my dad, yeah. We had them all.
What a freaking joke.
I was the model.
All right.
With PBJ stories and bread.
The defendant calls and speaks. The calls to her parents are finally answered. 4:49 a.m. The defendant calls Ms. Camerano, screaming, where's Mike? 4:53 in the morning is when the defendant out to the world as to what happened to Mr. O'Keefe, where he is. We got into a fight. I left him at the waterfall. 5 a.m. The defendant calls Kerry Roberts.
By plow, not a cloud.
5:07 a.m. The defendant leaves 1 minute Roberts again. And it's at this point that she indicates John's dead. He must have been hit by a plow.
By plow, not a cloud.
5:07 a.m.
Oh, no.
5:10 a.m., the defendant calls Kerry Roberts. Ms. Roberts starts calling hospitals, calling HPD, messages are being sent, calling your parents, and all of these other things. No calls to 911 from the defendant.
Oh, so you think,
Freezing and dying
okay.
while John O'Keefe is laying, freezing and dying from brain injury and skull fracture
Mhm.
on the front lawn of 34 Fairview Road. From the steps, 5:18 a.m. The defendant's vehicle was seen at Washington Street in Chapman on the Temple Beth Abraham video, heading in the same direction that it was the night before when it was heading to 34 Fairview Road. 5:35 is when the defendant arrives at Ms. McCabe's house. Ms. Roberts arrives shortly thereafter. Both of
All right. So what he's
seen on the library camera
implying
heading
here
towards Waterfront.
that
Seems to be
she
sort of
went back
retracing
to
steps.
34 Fairview, but she connected to certain Wi-Fi towers at that point in time. She never connected to those same Wi-Fi towers the next day. So
5:18 a.m.
this is ridiculous. He
Defendant's
doesn't
vehicle was
actually
seen
come
at
out
Washington
and
Street
say
in
that
Chapman
she
on the
said
Temple Beth
that.
Abraham video, heading in the same direction that it was the night before when it was heading to 34 Fairview Road. 5:35 is when the defendant arrives at Ms. McCabe's house. Ms. Roberts arrives shortly thereafter. Both of them see the broken taillight at that time in the driveway. Now that gap of 5:18
Yeah, they said cracked, Lally. They didn't say broken, they said cracked. And Alan Jackson just showed us in his closing. So, okay, what do you got? What else you got?
to 5:35 is way too much time to be driving from the area of the waterfall to Jennifer McCabe's house.
She doesn't know where she
As
lives.
I indicated a moment before, heading in the same direction, same directionality, retracing the steps from the night before, heading towards 34 Fairview Road. Why is it that the defendant can see Mr. O'Keefe when they eventually get to Fairview Road and no one else can?
Because she's
Because she
looking.
knew exactly where he was.
Because Kerry
They
Roberts,
even left him there.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because Kerry Roberts is driving. She's focused on the road in this whiteout conditions, like you like to tell us the whole time. Jen McCabe likes to distract people from seeing what's actually there from the front seat, and Karen's the only one actually looking for him. Okay, that's why.
She had gone back during that time frame between 5:18 a.m. when she's seen on the Temple video.
Oh,
and
she did
5:35
say
when she
that.
arrives at Mr. McCabe's house.
You haven't even shown that that's her car driving by that Temple video. It's
You can't. Oh my God. That is nowhere in evidence. Absolutely nowhere in evidence. And then and turns. Oh, of course, this was okay. There we go. Returns to 34. I mean, how? That's not in evidence. It's absolutely not in evidence that she returned back to 34 Fairview. It's not. Yeah.
like a car that looks like hers way far away. Oh, and then there's missing portions of that video as well from the library that just mysteriously disappeared. But I guess you're not going to address that either. Okay.
5:33 is when the defendant, Ms. McCabe, and Ms. Roberts return to One Meadows Ave searching for John. 6:03 is when the defendant, no one else,
She should take her shoes
plus
off.
Mr. O'Keefe's
I'll
body
be
buried in the
right
snow.
back.
Buried in the snow? Dude, buried in the snow? There's 2 inches of snow on the ground. Buried in the snow? Didn't you eventually actually submit some actual weather records? His body wasn't buried in the snow, but hyperbolize all you like during your closing argument. They're not taking notes.
This cruise camera video, which I know you've seen a dozen times.
Yeah, don't show
Where
it
I'm
again.
starting it from this point in this card right here is the spotlight that Officer Sarek had to use in order to locate, even with the vehicle of Ms. Roberts parked right in the middle of the road.
He had to use a spotlight, and then they used solo cups and a leaf blower because they're a fine organization.
In the darkness, in the snow, in the blizzard, in those conditions, the defendant sitting in the back seat of the vehicle knows exactly where Mr. O'Keefe is, covered in snow, as you heard from all of the paramedics, from the civilian witnesses,
No.
from the first responders. The
No.
defendant knows exactly where he is. 6:07 a.m., Ms. McCabe calls 911. 6:08, the defendant leaves that 4 or 5 minute voicemail, leaving the phone in the car for some reason.
Oh, for some reason, like that was intentional? You think it was intentional that she dropped her phone in the car when she was leaving a message for Don, and it just happened to catch Jen McCabe, 911 call, and then Jen McCabe's two calls to her sister? She did that on purpose?
6:23 and 6:24 in the morning is when Ms. McCabe conducts those Google searches. 7:50 in the morning is when Mr. O'Keefe is pronounced deceased at Good Samaritan Hospital. 4:13 to 4:20 p.m. is when the defendant's SUV is towed from her parents' house in Dighton. 5:20 p.m. is when the search team arrives in the area of 34 Fairview Road to conduct the search of evidence. 5:30 p.m. is when the defendant's vehicle arrives at the Canton Police Department south.
So they arrived at 5:20, but they didn't even start searching until 5:45. So
we circle back for a moment to Mr. O'Keefe, to his family, to his friends,
circle back for a moment.
and to his relationship
Circle
with the
back.
defendant. You heard testimony from Paul and Aaron O'Keefe that they liked the defendant, that they thought he was good for John, thought he was good for the kids. All outward appearances of the relationship were good. You heard testimony from the children that that was not true behind closed doors.
This is
So
sick.
Paul O'Keefe
This is disgusting.
testified that he told the defendant's parents this, that he liked this, that he thought that she was good for John, thought that she was good for the kids. Weeks before John's murder,
Disgusting.
he even blew her a kiss in the emergency department at Good Samaritan as he was walking out and she was still being treated while they were there. Invited her over to John's house to grieve with him. Invited her to sit down with him while he explained to their nephew Patrick about John.
So Paul used to like her, now he hates her. So that's evidence that she did
The
it.
defendant shows up at the house, abruptly goes upstairs with her father for a period of about 15 minutes, which is about half of the time that she spent there that morning grieving with the family. She left with a bag of her belongings, drove with her family there, and then took an extra vehicle in the height of the blizzard, around 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, drive that vehicle all the way from Canton, where it was parked at her boyfriend's house, where she stayed over on many occasions, drove that vehicle, felt the need to drive that vehicle from Canton all the way down to her parents' house in Dighton.
She didn't drive it. She didn't drive it. And this is what they were arguing about for the jury instructions. He was trying, or Ms. McLaughlin was trying to argue that this shows consciousness of guilt. And the judge said she would decide today whether or not they were going to get the jury instruction on consciousness of guilt. And he's arguing this in his closing. So I don't know if she's going to give the jury instruction on consciousness of guilt, but do you think that her going upstairs to gather some belongings and then having her dad or her brother drive her car back to Dighton shows consciousness of guilt because she left with the alleged murder weapon? Let's see how far he goes with this, because that's outrageous.
You heard testimony from Aaron O'Keefe of the text messages and the phone call on January 28th. You heard that Aaron O'Keefe called the defendant on the morning of the 29th because she was concerned for her. She wanted to know what was going on with someone she considered her friend, going on with John. Aaron O'Keefe again calls back later, indicates to Miss O'Keefe that she just has to remember the bad times, and indicates to her, I don't think I'll ever see you guys. To her parents' house in Dighton. She's indicating over the phone to Aaron O'Keefe, I don't think I'll ever see you guys.
I don't think I'll ever see you guys again. Okay. Because she knew that the family would hate her or his mother would.
Messages on the flight down, arranging times to meet up. And then the defendant telling Aaron via text message that she caught Johnny kissing Laura's sister in the hotel lobby. She got into an argument about it, and then they never met up in a room. You heard testimony consistent from Laura Sullivan, Marietta Sullivan, as well as the children. The kiss never happened. It never would happen, based on the relationship, the godfather relationship that John O'Keefe had with Laura Sullivan, her family, and particularly Laura.
They hate her. And who knows if he was playing grab ass with John in the bar when he was hammered and could even walk straight and was stumbling into the lobby. And who knows what Karen walked in on. So yeah, not so fast, Lally. I think that the jury could see right through Marietta Sullivan's testimony that she never would have made out with John, because we all did. But go on with your bad stuff.
Have the defendant and Mr. O'Keefe, following this incident with Marietta Sullivan, going into a room. Both of the children testified that they're in that room for about 20 to 20 and Ms. Sullivan have a conversation. Ms. Sullivan indicates that Mr. O'Keefe's phone is essentially blowing up, lighting up with calls and texting. She indicated in her testimony that Mr. O'Keefe shrugs it off.
On the first flight out of there too, Jen Shaw hater. This is so insane. Like, did it. Really scary what's going on there. And Norfolk. The only thing you got out of those children is that Karen did not have access to the ring footage, and that Karen spoiled them and was very nice to them. So whatever, he's an avoidance.
During each argument. They both indicated that Mr. O'Keefe had told the defendant that the relationship had run its course, similar to language within the text messages you have between.
Yeah, and the relationship had run its course, but he still needed her to take care of the kids. So,
The defendant and Mr. O'Keefe. That Mr. O'Keefe was sick of arguing, again, mirroring those text messages from January 28th, leading up and going out to see if McCarthy's eventually. The laptop and the desktop that were left after the defendant did the quick cleanup upstairs with her father, upstairs in the home. Neither of those devices had access to the ring cameras. John had access on his phone. The defendant indicates, if you recall, in some of those text messages in regard to the romantic kiss that she placed on Mr. Higgins.
Romantic.
Earlier on January, whatever it was, during the Patriots, Mr. Higgins and Mr. Jackson was indicating weren't very good friends with Mr. O'Keefe, but had been invited over to his home for a Patriots game, at which time the defendant escorted Mr. Higgins out of the garage and placed a romantic kiss on him. But during those text messages, when they're talking about that, if you recall, the defendant is saying something or joking about something that Mr. O'Keefe had been looking at the videos and had been asking her if there was something going on with her and Mr. Higgins. And what was her response to that? I know where the cameras are. There are only two videos missing from that ring system. One being the defendant getting to Mr. O'Keefe's house after murdering him, and the other.
There's nothing in evidence. In fact, I think the evidence shows that she didn't have access to the ring footage, but they're still going to put in their closing that she had I've seen a few pieces of it. I got to build myself up to watch the whole thing because that guy is he's Massachusetts. That's all I got to say. They're just wrong. I think this ring footage stuff shows. I mean, it showed she didn't have access to the ring footage. How in the hell? Yeah, there's evidence in the case that she didn't have access to the ring footage. But they're still going to put in their closing that she deleted the ring videos?
When the defendant showing Ms. McCabe and Ms. Roberts liar. Both of which, both Ms. McCabe and Ms. Roberts testified as having occurred. No video.
Yeah, because it happened in Jen McCabe's driveway, dude. Go back and read the transcript. That's what Carrie Roberts said.
The variety of stories that the defendant tells on the morning of January 29th. There were text messages and voicemails from the defendant to Mr. O'Keefe, 53 phone calls at 12:33 a.m. to 6:03 a.m. 0 phone calls to 911. The defendant calls Katie Camerano. The defendant calls her parents at 1:18 in the morning, 4:38 in the morning, 4:42 in the morning. The call then from Kaylee's phone to Ms. McCabe, because the defendant didn't have Ms. McCabe's phone number. Both Kaylee and Ms. McCabe indicate that the defendant initially indicates or says that she got into a fight with Mr. O'Keefe and left him at the waterfall. From this information, Ms. McCabe then testifies she starts calling Julie Albert. Because Chris Albert, Julie Albert, they live by the waterfall. Maybe that's where he went. As the phone is ringing, a phone call to both Mr. Albert and Ms. McCabe testified was never answered. As the phone is ringing, her husband Matthew McCabe reminds her that they saw the defendant and Mr. O'Keefe in the car outside of 34th Fairfield. So she hangs up. During this call, or during these subsequent calls, the defendant indicates to Ms. McCabe, maybe I hit him. Did I hit him? She then calls Ms. Roberts at 5 a.m. on the dot, indicates John's dead, hangs up the phone, calls back a minute later, indicates that Mr. O'Keefe was now hit by a plow and that he's dead. And then indicates further that she's drunk and doesn't remember. She tells Ms. McCabe about the cracked tail light before they even get in the vehicle and go anywhere, as you recall the testimony of Matthew McCabe, indicating that he has some concerns about them driving around in a vehicle with a damaged tail light.
But not enough concerns to actually drive them around himself. Let them all go. Not that there was a nor'easter coming, but there was a cracked tail light. Okay, Matt McCabe. Somebody called him Timu John Travolta, and I thought that was fantastic.
In the middle of a blizzard. Ms. Roberts' testimony that she saw a broken tail light in the driveway at Ms. McCabe, and that it was consistent with what she observed in photographs that were shown to her of it later. In the Sally Port, at the Canton Police Department garage when the search warrant is executed on February 1st.
Dessert.
What about all the lies of the time from when they towed the car? And I don't care if anybody doesn't like me stopping this to dissect it and make comedy, because this whole thing is comedic. We're going to be here all day. And we'll catch up to real time. Don't worry. If you want to watch Lally uninterrupted, plenty of places you can go do that. But I'm here for it. And I'm going to point out every single lie that he tells this jury during the course of this closing. So I'm here for it.
The defendant and Lord Sullivan from January 29th, in which the defendant indicates to Lord Sullivan that John is dead.
This is the same thing Lally did in his opening. He just jumps around. Now he's back talking about Lauren Sullivan. Well, I guess he's talking about that morning. So
at 5 a.m.
Typo?
And every indication is that he was found in the snow by defendant McCabe and Roberts around 6 a.m. 5 a.m. would be about an hour before. 5 a.m. would be between that time of where the defendant is unaccounted for, heading in the direction of the road, 5:18, 5:35.
You know what would be great, Lals, is if you ever canvass the area to get some ring footage of her driving by the house at 5 a.m. Because you know that would have maybe proven this ridiculous all of a sudden theory that you're coming up with, that she drove by there at 5 a.m. and that's why she saw his body at 6:04 when they pulled up. But guess what? Your investigators didn't do that. They didn't do that. So go ahead. Would you like another plate of spaghetti? Nothing's sticking yet.
Little things.
Little things.
Defendant asked Ms. McCabe to Google how long to die in the cold. She did so at 6:23 and 6:24 in the morning. You have the testimony of Ms. Hyde and Mr. Whitman as to SQLite databases, P-list databases, Knowledge C databases, state DB tabs, as far as all of them. Also from Trooper Marino as well. These searches were unequivocally done at 6:23, 6:24 in the morning, and not at 2:27 and 40 seconds in the morning.
Not unequivocal, but that's for the jury to decide based on all of the experts. Not unequivocal. Unequivocal.
Deleted means. Frankly, Mr. Green, the last question that I asked Mr. Green is, was he aware that Cellbrite, and by
all right, 3:18:10, 2:27, Google searches.
Cellbrite, the person who designed that being Mr. Whiffen.
He didn't design it.
Oh my God. Are you freaking kidding me? He just said that Whiffen designed Celebrate. He just said that he designed Celebrate. Let's just.
At Celebrate, and by Celebrate, the person who designed that being Mr. Whiffet. Was he aware of deleted means? Frankly, Mr. Green, the last question that I asked Mr. Green is, was he aware that Celebrate, and by Celebrate, the person who designed that being Mr. Whiffet.
He didn't design it.
Exactly
okay, that's another lie. Ian Whiffen did not design Celebrate. Ian Whiffen designed his own app called Artec that he used in his analyzation of these searches that he did a whole infomercial for during his testimony. He did not design Celebrate. Am I in the Twilight Zone again?
Software worked because of people like Mr. Green misinterpreting the data as he did.
He was at the help desk. He was the dude that you would call when you needed help with your Celebrate. He answered the phone. He was like the geek squad of Celebrate. Right?
But those questions, as far as how long to die in the cold, I would submit mirror the questions that the defendant asked firefighter Whitley in the back of the ambulance, if you recall those. She asked firefighter Whitley how long to die in the cold without a jacket. He knew how Mr. O'Keefe was dressed. She knew when she left him to die in the cold how he was dressed. The defendant made statements to firefighter Becker that the last time that she saw Mr. O'Keefe, they were in an argument. Again, back of the same ambulance as firefighter Whitley. You have testimony from firefighter Woodbury. Same kind of questions. If Mr. O'Keefe could be alive without a jacket. You have the testimony from each of these firefighters as to sort of the vacillating emotional state of the defendant that morning. What you have in the testimony from firefighter Woodbury is that despite all that, there were no tears that he observed from the defendant at that time.
Oh my God.
But each of those first responders indicate that the defendant repeatedly stated, is he dead? Is he dead? Not, is he okay? Is he going to be okay? How is he? Any sort of questions about.
Flop.
I hate this guy. I honestly hate this guy.
And when you take into juxtaposition that phraseology, text to Laura Sullivan, found him in the snow at 5 a.m. The unaccounted for time heading in the direction of 34 Fairview Road, 518, 535. The repeated questioning, firefighter Whitney, firefighter Woodbury, asked, is he dead? Is he dead? Heard from Ms. McCabe and Ms. Roberts. I say them together because as far as these two women spent appreciably together prior to January 29, 2022.
Buying sneakers.
Mr. O'Keefe nicely took them out for sneakers because he had some sort of deal at a Reebok's outlet or something like that to sort of try to pay them back for the help they provided him and the children. Jennifer with respect to the niece and Kerry with respect to the nephew. But they're both contacted by the defendant in the early morning of January 29th. As Ms. McCabe testified, John was my friend. I love John. He was an amazing guy. And the defendant, you guys should come. Both the defendant and the victim indicated that they wanted to come and that they were. She describes the phone calls and the text testimony from a couple of different witnesses as far as the steepness as you're going down Chapman, going down Fairview or coming off of Chapman. That you first go down a big steep hill. It flattens out for a little bit and then you go down a second. 2 hills going down on Chapman. Matching the GPS native location and the health data as far as where Mr. O'Keefe's phone is.
That's okay. So this is an absolute fucking lie. Because the Waze app that they got this off of was not based on the right time.
A mile away from 34 Fairview Road at the time that his health data is reporting that he's ascending or descending 3 flights of stairs. You hear the testimony from Ms. McCabe as far as the last time that she spoke to Mr. O'Keefe. And she's still trying to provide directions to Fairview because Mr. O'Keefe's never been there before, neither has the defendant.
Right.
Which is further corroborated.
And that's after the time that you say that Karen Reed now struck John O'Keefe at 12:30 because you changed your whole entire timeline.
Yep.
And she was looking out the window the whole time. Her and Maddie both. Matt and Jen were looking out the window. Nobody saw it happen. Nobody saw a body on the
directions, and she indicates that she uses a house that Mr. O'Keefe will be familiar with, that belonging to Bella or Bella's mom. Bella's mom is an ex-girlfriend, short riding, going towards Fairview Road with Miss Roberts and Miss McCabe. And she looked out and she saw the vehicle initially in front of the front door as Miss McCabe, as Brian Albert Jr., as Julie Nagel, as Brian Nagel. The vehicle moved up several times or several spots to where it was then positioned. Initially at some point in front of the door, then it moves up further so that it's in the area of the fire hydrant and the flagpole.
What time is that?
The body was discovered later on that morning, at least by Miss McCabe and Miss Roberts, and then moves up further beyond that. And I say that in the sense that it moves up further beyond that with sufficient distance for it to then go in reverse for 62.5 feet at 24.2 miles per hour, striking Mr. O'Keefe and leaving him where he was found later on the 29th. Again, the testimony from Ms. McCabe that about 12:40
it's so ridiculous.
indicated in her
I
testimony.
mean, that is so ridiculous. Oh God, I know. He's from all accounts. All right, I gotta pause this for a minute because this is driving me crazy. But yeah, from all accounts, that he wasn't even on good terms with his brother at this time. And then there was the whole thing of, he's the one that actually hit somebody, right? He's the one that actually killed somebody with a car if I'm not mistaken, or at least hit somebody. And then wasn't it from what I'm hearing, Karen that bailed him out of jail from what I read. I don't know. I might, that might be wrong. I saw that online. But none of that comes up in the he doesn't get asked about any of that. Okay, thank you. Thank you for correcting me. Paralyzed, thank you. But none of that comes up in the interview, right? They don't ask him about any of that in the interview. And there's questions about GoFundMe's and money that was supposedly came in for the kids. Yeah, okay. So she did pay his bail for that. So that was, that was obviously within the last few years then. So yeah, no, the way that guy acted all through trial, the little comments afterwards, the stares, like he's some, that's this Massachusetts bravado, thinking they're all tough guy kind of thing, like he's some kind of made guy or something, like he's got some kind of power. He's, they all act like they're in some little mob family, right? The way they come to the way they showed up at the courtroom at the thing, being invited by Paul and the family and just sat there like that. That's why people get involved in these trials. And then, that's why people, when the people around the state are going to act like this is when people stand up and they say, no, you can't act like this. You can't do this. You can't railroad people like this. It's, and that was my Chewbacca. All right. Last night, my neighbor thankfully is coming over to help us with the sheep. I'm gonna text him real quick. All right, and I'm almost out of battery. I gotta go get water. I have to keep myself hydrated. So I'll be right back. Give me like 1 minute, minute and a half. All right, baby. Another glass of Kirkland signature water. Right there. Kirkland signature. Everything is Kirkland signature. We got some passed out dogs around here, man. I'm telling you, they are out. So far, we haven't heard too many fireworks, I don't think, or I'd have a bunch of freaked out shaking dogs. I don't have that, so that's good. That's a good thing. But yeah, I can't. It's, I don't know. I might just get the highlights of that interview. I don't know that I can actually sit through that whole thing. I don't want to do that to myself. I just don't. Oh, I know. And then people just, and somebody that's, on the pro defense side, or came out with that he'd heard that it was, that the second degree murder charge was disregarded and they got hung up on the underlying charges. I don't even believe that until it comes from an actual juror. Give me a statement from an actual juror that can be confirmed that it's from an actual juror, and I will believe it. Until then, I don't know. But yeah, I know. Oh, it's 10 to yeah, I saw that earlier. I said, this is your source. Here's your source for the 10 to 2. There you go.
Really?
There's your source.
Yeah, we had them all.
That's the source for 10 to 2 guilty.
I was
Right
the
there.
model. I try to work myself. Really? For my dad, yeah. We had them all.
Totally trustworthy source right there, I'm telling you. Oh my goodness. Oh yeah.
She couldn't be certain if Mr. O'Keefe was still out front.
Right.
I mean, he's trying to put this timeline together, and now
And now you
he's
change your timeline to 12:30. Make it make sense.
From John's niece, Kaylee, 4:53 in the morning. This is from an 8th grader, 14-year-old girl. That's why she answers the phone at 4:53 in the morning.
Mhm.
Then they start discussing, or the defendant brings up her crack tail. Then here, both Ms. McCabe and Mr. McCabe, hear the defendant's indicates. And you heard this testimony from a number of different witnesses, friends and family of Mr. O'Keefe.
oh this
What
part
Mr. McCabe
here.
and Ms. Roberts both do when they're entering in that house on January 12th.
Karen didn't take her shoes off. She's
Take off
guilty.
their
The end.
boots Out in the snow, they take off their boots in the mudroom, and then they walk in. What did they both indicate that the defendant did that morning when she came back to the house? Walked right in with the shoes. You hear that second voicemail.
The shock and
After the
horror.
defendants arrive back at One Meadows Ave, after her phone is reconnected
She
with
took off her
Mr.
shoes.
O'Keefe's Wi-Fi.
She's
And you can
guilty.
hear the footsteps. Or that may be in the garage, or that might be in the house. Why is it that the defendant has no issue with wearing shoes in the house when Mr. O'Keefe has that strict rule? Because she knows where he is.
This is your closing.
She knows where he is because she wore. Now, that absolutely is. That's complete made up testimony. I mean, that's just that. This is a trial. This is a murder trial. This is a murder trial where the DA is saying that because she wore shoes in the house, she knew where he
Argument?
was, and this.
She knows where he is. She killed him, and we know that she killed him because she didn't take her shoes off in the house twice when she got home that night after she killed him, and then the next morning when her friends forced her to go back there to look around for him again. That's it. She didn't take her shoes off. It's murder. She's guilty, and that's proof, according to this. There's not even a word to describe him right now in my mind. Are you kidding? Are you, really, you guys? Are you hearing this?
And she was not coming home because she hit him with her SUV, and she left him in the snow.
Well, there it is. Boop, there it is. Proof. The shoes.
Roberts and Miss McCabe frantically sort of running around the house looking for Mr. O'Keefe.
I'm embarrassed for him.
Yeah, this is. I mean,
They
this.
then get in the vehicle.
Yeah.
They drive back towards Fairview Road. And
Because they needed more
defendant in the
time.
backseat of the vehicle immediately sees the defendant, starts pulling and kicking on the door, and runs in sort of a beeline straight over to where Mr. O'Keefe is laying on the front lawn. Pick him up, and you recall several witnesses testifying about that. Pick him up on scoop stretcher and then bring him over to the ambulance while they're conducting resuscitative efforts.
Nobody saw the phone.
Ms. Roberts indicated that she observed underneath only the phone. The phone on the grass. On the
She's
grass in the area that is completely covered in snow in every other area except under Mr. O'Keefe. So I would submit indicates how long Mr. O'Keefe has been there.
Where's the pictures of that?
Now,
How long?
around 12 o'clock or so is when it starts.
There's no pictures of that. There's no. Oh. All right. 329. 45. Grass under John O'Keefe. There's no evidence of that. And in fact, I think there were people that saying that there was snow underneath him too. Some of the firefighters
No,
I
it
thought
starts to
said
stick a
that.
little bit. You heard
And
all-
because they're, I mean, if that was the case, then wouldn't there be, I mean, when they're doing the snow blowing thing, right? They've got the leaf blower thing out, right? There's not enough, there was no uncovered grassy area. I mean, where are the pictures of this uncovered grass?
all that testimony. And I know it was a lot of testimony about snow, a lot of testimony about weather, but there's a purpose to that. There's a point to that. Okay. as far as the grass underneath Mr. O'Keefe's body, where his cell phone was, Ms. Roberts.
There's a point to that because all the photos of the scene don't show any grass. So there's that. And didn't all the first responders say that there was snow underneath him? So there's that. So you can argue, but the jurors took tons of notes.
Observed some 6 hours later after it starts snowing. It's still visible only.
Oh, yeah. No, exactly. That. Yeah, I had never heard of this guy until this case started, and oh my goodness gracious. You know, because they said she turned him over, but then there was testimony about the lividity, settling of the blood. Yeah, I don't know. That is an interesting. I think that should be investigated more, and I think you could easily prove or debunk whether he was turned over or not. I think it I'm not obviously not a pathologist either, but I think it could be a case where you could show whether or not you think he was turned over when they got there. I don't know. I mean, that's because why would they? I mean, and if their case is that he fell back and he hit his head, well, their thing is he fell back and hit his head and spun and then flew
Under
away.
Mr. O'Keefe, where his body is. So I would submit his evidence to you as to how long he's been there.
Haas long. Just say Haas once for us, please.
On top of that, you also have hours of ring videos of the driveway as far as shoveling and Paul O'Keefe and other people snow blowing and shoveling and all those kinds of things.
Snow blowing, leaf blowing.
Purpose of that as well. If you look at those, if you look at the video
Leaf blowing, sir. It was leaf blowing. They got a leaf blower to look for the evidence, and the Canton PD was so incompetent they didn't find the red pieces.
of the defendant
This is so crazy.
crashing into Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle at a
Right. Yeah, exactly.
speed of anywhere from 0 to 5.
Crashing.
Right.
Crashing into Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle in the driveway.
And a head injury bleeds ridiculously. And I was curious if we'd ever hear in testimony. I was curious if we'd ever hear testimony on how much blood he lost. And I don't think we did. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe one of the questions was how much blood they thought he had lost. But I'm pretty sure it would have been a significant amount. A head injury that's, a skull fracture head injury is going to have a massive amount of blood. And so it didn't seem like the little bit that they caught in their little solo cups was not even close. And you didn't have anywhere in any of those videos that they uncovered in the snow enough blood to think that was, there's no way. Yeah, right? No, she folded it up and put it in her car, right?
Wait, really? She crashed into it.
Did not cause the damage to the taillight that was observed in this case.
No,
you
she
don't
did.
see. You don't see snow move off Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle.
It was wet.
Contact. You don't see any red or clear plastic pieces in the snow.
It would have been
If you
pushed
look
into
at
the
those
car.
stills, not the ones that counsel
What
put up
the
there during his closing. But if you
world?
look at each of the video in the stills, you can see the damage consistent
No, you can't.
with the taillight.
You didn't enlarge them.
You see the
You
damage
can't.
consistent with the taillight from the 507 video. You see the damage consistent from the 822 video from Lieutenant Ray from the cruiser camera video. We pulling into the driveway.
No, you
You
can't.
see the damage consistent from the Dighton video at the defendant's home. You see the
No, you
damage consistent
can't. What is
from
he
the right here,
talking about?
February 1st, 2022.
331.58. Damage to taillight. He's saying that you can see the damage to the taillight. Well, there's no way. You can't.
When search warrant
Yeah.
conducted in
No,
this
exactly.
department,
My
all those
question.
pieces
Where's
from the vehicle.
I mean,
The weather is also important when it comes to the hair.
Oh,
The magic hair, as Mr. Jackson likes to call it.
Hmm.
The magic hair was actually frozen to the vehicle, as was the glass to the bumper, because the vehicle
Said nobody
was
in
like
any
that on the
testimony at
left
all.
when it was kicked.
Right. 3:32:17. Hair frozen to the vehicle. I mean, I kind of understand why they didn't object, because one, Bev probably would have had a conniption if they would have started objecting to Lally's closing. But there is enough here of crap that he just made up. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Caked in snow, and Officer Barrow saw it in the driveway indictment as they were wading
This
through
is
a foot and a half of
ridiculous.
snow
Okay,
walking up. Because remember, they
Sorry, I
didn't
gotta
go into
step
the driveway
away. One
because
more
they had someone
second.
come down
Yeah, I'll be
the
right back. I'm gonna leave this
That's what
play
the vehicle
though.
looked like. What you can see, however, is the damage to the taillight, to the side.
Where is
of
it
that
snow?
consistent with it. So that hair, that 7/8 of an inch hair, was frozen to the side. And as you remember, the testimony from Sergeant Buchanan about the heated condition of the Canton Police Department garage, and that's one of the reasons that they took it there, because the other barracks that they could have taken it to didn't have that heated condition. So yes, after it's been in there from January 29th, about 5:30 p.m. until February 1st, when they conduct the search warrant, the hair isn't still frozen, as it's contained within the heated garage, and the pieces of glass on the rear bumper have melted. The snow has melted, as you can see from left to right. The weather, also important, I would submit, weather was wet. Remember, the cause of death here is not just blunt impact injuries, it's blunt impact injuries and hypothermia. You heard all that medical testimony in relation to it, and you heard all that testimony in relation to the snow and the weather and the wind. Wind gusts up to 37 miles per hour while he's out, Mr. O'Keefe is out there in just a shirt and jeans. Now, you heard also testimony from Ms. Roberts in relation to the injuries she observed to Mr. O'Keefe. That's initially on scene. There was one eye that was swollen.
Weather was a
That's
weapon.
indication of the swelling that Dr. Sportibello was testifying to, and no indication of physical altercation. And then both eyes being swollen when Ms. Roberts viewed Mr. O'Keefe's body after his passing at the Good Samaritan. Submit that all the testimony tells you the same consistency.
You say there was no indication of a fight? What?
And both eyes being swollen when Ms. Roberts viewed Mr. O'Keefe's body after his passing at the Good Samaritan. Not the other. Submit that's indication of the swelling that Dr. Sportibello was testifying to, and no indication of physical altercation. And then both.
Nah, she said that. Yeah, that's a lie. No indication of a physical altercation, except she testified that it absolutely could have come from a physical altercation. Well, good night. Thank you for coming and hanging out. I really appreciate it. I know what you mean. Happy 4th of July tomorrow. Or today, if it's, oh yeah. Today on the East Coast, so happy 4th of July. Happy 4th of July Eve for the rest of us that aren't on the 4th of July yet. It's still 7:30.
Both eyes being swollen when Ms. Roberts viewed Mr. O'Keefe's body after his passing.
No evidence of a physical altercation, except she testified that it could have happened in a physical altercation. Mm-hmm.
Submit that all the testimony tells you the same consistent account, internally, externally, from civilian testimony to investigator testimony to medical testimony to forensic testimony to the reconstruction testimony.
The reconstruction testimony.
You have the testimony from Ms. McCabe and Ms. Roberts that they couldn't see Mr. O'Keefe at Fairview when they initially pulled up. You can see that from Officer Sarah's cruiser. You have it says that he couldn't even see Mr. O'Keefe until he was 5 feet away in the darkness, in the snow, in the blizzard conditions. There's no footprints around the body. There's no drag.
No drag marks.
Anything in relation to Brian Albert and Brian Higgins. Brian Albert and Brian Higgins spent January 28, 2022, traveling to New York City, to Albert's house, to then murder another police officer who they did.
Oh, be careful with your arguments, Lally, because you're looking like a fool now.
That's a conspiracy.
No, it's a drunken argument, maybe.
You have statements
that got out of hand.
to
I
Sergeant
don't know.
Mechanic on January 29th. She was willing to speak, but didn't want to give too much detail.
We're speeding this up.
On Washington Street across from C.F. McCarthy's, facing northbound on the side, same side as water. Same testimony that you heard from Ms. O'Keefe, observing the defendant going over to her vehicle, getting in the driver's seat, and the victim, Mr. O'Keefe, getting into the passenger seat. She said they were left the waterfall, were invited to a residence. She drove her and John to the location. He now has evolved into, as far as stating to Sergeant Mechanic, are you aware that John was beaten up by Brian and Colin Albert? We're all in on the same joke, right?
Yeah.
I was pulverized and my taillight was cracked. You have testimony from Nicole Albert, Brian Albert, Jennifer McCabe, Matthew McCabe, Caitlin Albert, Brian Albert Jr., Sarah Levinson, Julie Nagel.
All related.
All indicated in the testimony, and the defendant knew, based on our questions to the firefighters the next morning, that the testimony about the car, the defendant's car being there in front of the house, moving multiple times. You have that from multiple sources. You have that from Matthew McCabe. You have that from Jennifer McCabe. You have that from Brian Albert Jr. You have that from Julie Nagel. You have that from Ryan. You have the testimony of Ryan Nagel, the defendant's vehicle. They indicate that at no time did they see anybody get out of the vehicle. At no time Interesting, when I asked Mr. Nagel, as far as when Julie Nagel came out of the vehicle, did he roll down the window or did he open the door? He indicated he opened the door. And then they're gone. Ryan Nagel.
This is so
Vicky D'Antonio,
stupid. This doesn't even have anything to do with anything.
Albert, Cole Albert, Caitlin Albert, Brian Jr. All indicating that we picked up around that time, 12:10 a.m. You have testimony from Chris and Julie Albert, his parents, as far as when it comes to those items being recovered.
Go back to, Paul and Albert's testimony. What, an extra child that doesn't. Oh boy. Oh, that's always fun though. I mean, I know it can get a lot, but my sister was the same way. My sister's house was where everybody congregated to.
In particular, the items being recovered on January 29th by that search.
So I know what you mean. Her house was where everybody went.
3 feet of snow that they had to sift through in order to find.
For many years, through many different houses.
The photos in the video, most of which you have in evidence, is earlier in the storm. This is before the 18 inches of snow falls down. Before there's drifts and 3 feet of snow in places. They found evidence where it had been at that.
Yeah, so there was no feet marks, there's no drag marks, but it snowed 30 inches. So
same ground level in the grass under the snow at 34 feet. We heard all of the medical testimony, which I would submit is consistent from firefighter Formati to Dr. Rice. Testimony. In regard to the medical testimony, you have the sort of pattern abrasions, clear plastic that's recovered by Lieutenant Howard and Lieutenant Tully on January 29th. The clear plastic that has the dimples on it. No one, not Trooper Paul, at any point in time, ever said Mr. O'Keefe's arm was out like this at the time of the instruction. He did a pure wet and then flew 30 feet in the air.
No, that's exactly what Trooper Paul's theory was, sir. Were you not listening to your own witness?
342.25. That's what I was waiting for too. 342.25. Arm was not out. What in the world? That's what Trooper Paul's testimony was.
Doctors were, the biomechanical people were talking about yesterday. 12 inches and then 6 inches to the tailbone. It's easily solved by this. And the dimples on his arm are, that I would submit, are consistent with the dimples on the tail light cover piece, are right around this area of the elbow.
Oh, now you're going to change that theory too?
Testimony in regard to forensics, as far as Mr. Porto, Mr. Bradford. John O'Keefe's DNA is on that tail lighthouse.
Good one, Dewey.
His DNA is there to the exclusion as well of Sergeant Mechanic and Trooper Crawford. Mr. O'Keefe's DNA is on the exterior of the broken drinking glass. Mr. O'Keefe's DNA, and only Mr. O'Keefe's DNA, is on his clothing and his fingernails, consistent with Dr. Sporty.
No, that's not true either. There were other DNA on his clothes. God damn. We can debunk that too. Ha ha. Well, you're full of it. You are full of it.
Testimony. There's no evidence of a fight or an altercation. There's no one else's DNA on his fingernails. There's no one else's DNA on his clothes.
Yes, there was. There was two sources of DNA. Or 3 in some stains.
Dents, scratches, 7/8 of his hair. You have testimony from his chart in regard to the mitochondrial DNA profile from that hair being consistent with
how
DNA
does
profile.
the hair? Oh yeah, I know. It's tons of fireworks. It sounds like a war zone. Tomorrow night will.
You have 1 minute, Mr. Lally. Wrap it up.
Yes.
Wrap it up.
All consistent with pieces of taillights.
Wrap it up. Where's the hook? Get the hook.
What vehicle in reverse? 24.2 miles per hour. For 62.5 feet. Struck.
Thank you for serving.
All right. Okay, I'm done. All right. I've got a lot. We have a lot. He lied through the whole closing. Oh, I know. So what I have is 244, the drinks in the glass. Oh, no, actually, it starts back. Oh, my goodness. I got 2 pages. Look at this. Look at this. I've got, all right, so I got this whole page. And then I've got all of this. All this of lies. So we got 233, the 4 times it said, I hit him. And then he actually said, she said that she hit him 4 times. She said that she came out and said, I hit him. Nobody testified that she said that 4 times in a row. Every time was 3. Timothy Nuttall, I know he was the officer that said, no, he never heard her say that it was her fault or that she hit him. And then Flamati and all those guys eventually testified that they, were away. Then we have Seraph, I think Seraph testified that he didn't hear it. Then we have the drinks in the glass. I'm sure that, what I was saying earlier is you can't A witness is not supposed to sit there and narrate a video. If you're showing a video, you're supposed to show the video. You're not allowed to let a witness just sit there and narrate the video. But Bev just sit there and let him narrate the video and talk a bunch of crap that wasn't even actually on the video. You can't see that she's getting a shot of vodka and pouring it in there. And the fact, what bartender is not going to charge her for all those vodkas? If she got all those, she got 9 or 8 vodkas, she didn't get charged for but like 2 of them. So that's a bunch of BS. Then we had the GPS data. He's saying that, you know, his native GPS data put him there. I believe it was the Waze data. That there was no movement after 12:25 on his phone, except the defense expert testified that at 12:36 there absolutely was there was movement. The whole defendant returned to 34 Fairview. There's nowhere in evidence that she returned to 34 Fairview. The ring footage she deleted, except she didn't have access, and there's actually evidence that she did not have access to the ring cameras. The Google searches, those were absolutely, well, at least the defense expert said, nope, you didn't test that correct version of iOS. Those in that version of iOS, it actually did take place at 2:27. He said it that Whiffen designed Celebrate. He's the designer of Celebrate, which he's not. He's a business development guy and a question answer. He's like a help desk guy. So when people have, you know, he helps people figure out how to use it, but he didn't design Celebrate. All right, the health data with the stair thing, with him going up and down stairs. Supposedly it was going up and down hills. However, Mr. Green testified that that was BS. The shoes in the house thing, I mean, just there's nowhere in evidence that, because you can't just say she wore her shoes in the house, so that means she killed him. I mean, that's ridiculous. That you can supposedly see the damage to the taillight under the videos. We'll show the videos. You can't really see the damn taillight. That the hair was frozen to the vehicle. Well, if it was frozen to the vehicle, and the vehicle's in the warmth for multiple days, but it doesn't come off by, you know, it's a magical hair. Besides, it's one freaking small hair. What is that even supposed to mean? I don't get the whole, there was a hair on, I mean, it's like a bad CSI episode. It's like a CSI Miami episode with what's his name, who went to the William Shatner School of Overacting. That guy was hilarious because he overacted everything. What the hell was his name? Oh my gosh, the CSI Miami guy. David Caruso. This guy right there. David Caruso. That show was hilarious because he went to William. He must have idolized William Shatner because everything was melodramatic. Oh my goodness. Where was it? The damage to the frozen hair. It is. It's like a bad episode of CSI Miami where that hair, but there was a hair. She would have gotten away with it, but there was one random hair attached to the vehicle, even though he was her boyfriend, and his hair was probably everywhere, as well as his DNA was probably everywhere. There was no blood on the taillight pieces. There was touch DNA. So at some point he touched the thing. He would have been, if those pieces of taillight would have cut him up. They're saying that is what did the cuts on his arm. This is how preposterous this thing is. He got hit by the car. The taillight exploded, cut up his arm, but none of the pieces were actually in his arm. They all came out somehow. They all went past his arm and then somehow went through his jacket, through his t-shirt, in to cut up his arm, and then vanished into the thin air. And that's how he got his arm cut up. That's insane. It was absolutely insane. Okay. 333, he said that there was no indication of a physical altercation. Of course, the Mimi testified that he absolutely could have been in a physical altercation. Testified that nobody said his arm was out except Trooper Paul said his arm was out, and that there was no other DNA on his clothes when we know there was at least 2 other people. There was 2 other DNA samples on his clothes that nobody was able to ever figure out who they were. So there's our lies. There's at least the provable lies are the ones that were, 1, we have direct testimony to refute, and 2, that there is absolutely no evidence in this trial. A closing argument is supposed to be a retelling of the evidence, a retelling of what happened during the trial, of what evidence was presented during the trial. Yes, they testified that she came into the house and didn't take her shoes off. However, nobody said that that she didn't take her shoes off because she knew where his body was. That is just, oh my God, that's so ridiculous. Anyway. All right. Well, that wasn't as painful as I thought it was. It was still painful, but it wasn't as painful as I thought it was. Cause I mean, just look at this dude. I'm gonna have to get some good freeze frames. There's a good freeze frame right there. Oh, sorry. Uh-oh. Might have had a firework. I don't know. We'll see. It's either that or I got a little loud. Rainy is our fun police dog. You can't have any fun. She started like that as a puppy. Took her to puppy class where you let all the puppies play with each other, and as soon as like one would start to get a little bit rambunctious, man, she'd be right there to put them in their place. From the get-go, she was the fun police. It's hilarious. That dog. She didn't, I don't know. She didn't trust people. She just couldn't get comfortable. And I took her to obedience training, and she kind of bonded with it's funny because she kind of bonded with the instructor. And towards the end, where you do the thing where you leave her with somebody and you go to another room, and she actually gave the instructor a hug. So that was really cool. But yeah, she's come around in her. She's 8 or 9, so she's definitely gotten better. She's gotten better about being around other people. She likes her neighbor a lot, so that's cool. And she actually will suck up to people now. I remember there was we were in a different puppy class, and it was like teenager dog training, and there was, we're just letting the dogs run around, and there was a couple other people in the class, and there was one lady in there. And so, it's just basically, okay, if the dog comes up to you, just, be cool with them. You're trying to just get the dogs used to other people. And this lady just like takes her hand and just like goes to like pet her face, but like comes down like she's going to take both hands and put them right around her head. And it's like, oh my God, that's the complete wrong thing to do to a dog that's kind of freaked out. You don't want to just close off their face. That's a way to get bit. So we were, everybody in the room was just like, what are you doing? So anyway, yeah. Back to the good old dog training days. We used to do dog agility. So I used to teach dog agility for a while there. That was fun. But yeah, all right. Well, we got a start. I didn't record any of these clips. I kind of go back now over the next little bit. This video is going to take a little bit. It's going to take a little more work than my normal weekend or weekday upgrades. I really want to get this right. All right, I want to get the right spots, and I want to get the right places where all of this can be debunked completely with testimony from people in this trial that debunks what he said in his closing arguments. I mean, it's just ridiculous that you can go in there and restate testimony. I mean, oh man. And appeal apt. Oh yeah, no, if she's, yeah. I've known some people with St. Bernards, and oh my goodness, we used to do dog weight pulling too back in the day, where they'd pull a sled through the snow, and the St. Bernards were always fun to watch because they could pull literally a ton. We'd get up to 2,000 pounds that they were pulling. My wife, we used to have the Fur Rondi every year as a carnival in Alaska. And it was the Fur Rendezvous. It would be like, you'd have trapper, you'd have fur auctions, and you'd have the sled dog races. And then we used to have the Fur Rondi dog weight pull. And we had this one dog named Raspberry. And then her son was Falcon, named after Millennium Falcon. But Raspberry won, I think she was under 45 pounds, was like the ultra lightweight class. And she won, I think it was 12 years in a row. I mean, she was a beast. I think it was 12. I think she got 12 years in a row. I think and after that she retired, but man, she was amazing. She was an amazing dog. Sled dog. We used to have sled dogs way back in the day. We used to run, and we never raced or anything. We just had it for recreation, but we'd take them out. We lived right near the trails, so we'd go out. She was a lead dog, and she was the leader. She was the alpha. She was the alpha female of the bunch. I can tell you that much. She was the boss of the herd. And but yeah, she was an amazing puller too. And then her son, I think he won. I mean, total and all, she probably had 20 some championships between all the dogs, between Falcon especially and Raspberry. Wife had probably 20 some championships in that thing, which was way cool. So yep. Yeah, no, it is. It was great. It's great for their energy. It's great for their confidence. It's great for, you basically just, they make a certain harness for doing that. And, if so they make ski juring harnesses for doing ski juring or, mushing, but then the weight pulling, they make a harness which has a dowel. So So when they're pulling, it keeps the harness off of their hips, because you don't want it squeezing down on their hips. You want it away. So there's a dowel rod that's in the back of the weight pulling harness, and that spreads out the load. And then you hook them up to that and have them pull a tire, so they get just, used to pulling something behind them. And then as you go on, you can increase the weight, but it's basically a wintertime activity. But it was a lot of fun. We had a good group of people that did it, and we did polls, all around South Central Alaska and down in the Kenai Peninsula, and wife went up to Fairbanks a few times up to there. That was always fun, especially in the wintertime when she'd be sleeping in the car when it's 20 some below zero. No, thank you. No, just no. Oh yeah, no, they can be, yeah. Trying to think, I can look up and see if I got, if I know any places else to get them and get them shipped to you. It helps to get them fitted for it too. She used to make all those harnesses too. So, but yeah, no, back in the day. Now we don't do much. Dogs are all lazy. We're all lazy. We did agility up until like right about 2020. That was, everybody kind of had stuff. We all know what happened in 2020. We don't need to go back to that. But that was kind of the end of our agility time. It probably actually a little before that. But yeah, it was always fun. As much as the little dogs would pull, and they'd always pull, like pound for pound, they would pull more compared to their own body weight. But the St. Bernards and the big dogs, the over 125 pound dogs, man, those were so fun to watch, because you would, we had these concrete cylinders, and when they make concrete, during construction projects, when you're pouring concrete, you pour cylinders to, test the strength of the concrete. And so those things get, there's a bunch of those around, because every time you have a construction project, you got to pour cylinders. And so that's what we used for weights, was cylinders. We had a little sled that you pack these weights into. And, man, we'd sometimes run out of weight, and then we'd have to put people on there. So you'd have like, okay, I weigh 160 pounds, we put a 160 pound kid on there, and then a 200 pound person on there. And so, I mean, some of those loads got ridiculous, like well over 2,000 pounds that those dogs are pulling. I mean, it was crazy. It was a lot of fun, but yeah, it was crazy to watch them, because, and they're all, they're all competitive. We had some competitive folks that, would just have their own little way of doing things and pulling up. So it was always fun. Yeah, I don't know if might be some pictures out there. Let's see. Rondi. Weight pull. Let's see if we got any or anything. Let's see. Yeah, there was an old story about it. Yeah, I can total 1,000 pounds or more. Yeah, no. 96. There's a sled dog ride. So, oh yeah, there we go. There's one of them pulling weights. That was always in February. There's a dog named Frank that won it many, many years. Our friend Kelly had this dog named Frank, and he won it many, many years in a row. And then Then Raspberry came around and so yeah, it went up until 2013. We had the weight pull. Gonna take my medication. Let's go to images. See if there's see what we got for images. There's one. That's not really the Ferrandi weight pull though. Kind of what the sled looked like. We had our own sled, custom built sled. I don't really see anything. Ferrandi dog weight pull. St. Bernard Club of Alaska. There we go. Yeah, you can see, let's see, you can see that harness right there. Got that bar across the back. That's the important thing about the weight pull harness is having that spreader bar. There's an indoor one. Yeah, Utah. I mean, yeah, some of those dogs down there, when you're not in the snow, they pull over 5,000 pounds. I've seen some of those on, when they're on wheels, those wheeled carts. Oh my goodness. Which we had a wheeled thing that you could do. You could pull more with wheels than you could with that. But there's kind of somebody doing it with just the tire, so you get them used to, because that's a foreign concept, is dragging something behind you for a dog. So yeah, we used to have fun. All right, let's get rid of Lally here. I'm done looking at this guy. Okay, well, I think I am going to go. So I got a good start on my video. I know where in Melanie's closing argument video for Lally I need to go to find these places. And I could go and dig out the other places I want to get, and then we can start debunking them. So I've got, obviously tomorrow is probably not going to get much work done. Friday, we'll have our show, but then this weekend, I'll have some time to do this. It's just, this video is going to take a little while because, like I said, because I want to do it right. I want to seriously debunk all of these lies straight from the evidence that was presented in the trial. It's just ridiculous that you can get away with what he got away with just, completely misstating evidence. So anyway, so I will, oh yeah. And it was all her fell and taught her how to pull and went over wheels. Oh yeah, no, it was. Yeah, no. Then if you don't have snow, that wheeled cart, that definitely is a big thing. Oh, there's one, St. Bernard. Yeah, that was our sled, the St. Bernard Club of Alaska. That was one of the sleds we had. And then here's another Snow. Oh yeah, this is a guy named Donovan. He was a good friend of mine. Snow was a fun dog. Yeah, no, I remember that, him trying to get it going, trying to get him to pull it. Oh man. Yeah, I think Snow was a boxer. Yes, I do believe he was. Yep, I think he was. Yeah, nope, he was a good boy. He was a good boy. That's yeah, Donovan was a good guy too. And then this, man, that one looks familiar, but I don't know. And this, that dog looks familiar too. But I don't recognize the cart or anything here. So most, ours were all done in the wintertime. So ours are all done in the wintertime. Let's see. Oh yeah. So oh yeah, this is one of us. Oh my goodness. That's my friend Rob right there. Is that sport, I wonder? And that could be me. That absolutely could be me right there. I mean, so that's either, I don't think that's me. Actually, I think that's me in the window right there. I think that's me. I think that's Gina. That's Frank. Okay, yeah, look. Oh my goodness. These are all people I know. So, yep, that's me. That is my buddy Rob. That's our friend Gina. I'm not sure who that dog is, though. That's great. Oh my goodness. Funny of the things that you can find online, isn't it? Wow. Yeah, we used to, because, we had there's our little speakers that were all tied, they were put on a board, they were nailed to a board, and then you just ran the cord into the trailer. And that's where you kept all the times and everything. So, oh my goodness, that is great. That is hilarious. I need to save this picture. Yep. Gotta do it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny. I had no idea that this picture was out there. It's funny that because this is just like somebody's website. Oh, okay. We gave her dog moonshine shot at weight pulling. Moon was powerful and could pull 1,000 pounds. Joe, turn my headset back on because I hadn't used it in a while. Joe got fused, stopped her too soon to win the category. It's okay. His Moon was 6 and not a spring chicken anymore. Oh my goodness, that is wonderful. Okay, that was the 2003 Fur-Rundy weight pull event. So that was it for Rondi. Okay. 2003, that was 21 years ago. Oh my goodness. That is hilarious. Yeah, no, I just saw that and I saw Rob was a huge Vikings fan. Like one of the biggest Vikings fans, and he had well over 200 Viking hats, just hats. And we had the Vikings room where he had all this Viking memorabilia and like 200 hats, and his whole world was the Minnesota Vikings. So all right, on that note, I am really out of here. Thank you so much. Thank you again. If if anybody remembers, if you remember something else about the closing arguments where it was just a blatant flat out lie that was either proven or not shown in the testimony, just leave a comment and, give us a like. If you like the video, that really helps. If you give us a subscription, just hit the subscribe button. That helps. We're trying to, boost our numbers up and get to that magical monetization point. So it's all helpful. So thank you, Patty. You have a wonderful 4th of July, and we'll be online on Friday night. Our little Northland Friday night show from the Rethink Studios, and I will be back there next week because I won't be on dog duty all week. So, all right. Thank you. We will see you next time. All right. Good night. Bye.